A very good morning, class 11. So, this is our last lecture of our from chapter that is respiration in plants, and I really hope that you all have understood this chapter very well because this is important for every aspect that is your examination as well as from NEET point of view. So, today we will talk about because see, in when we say the respiratory substrate, right, even in respiration we talked about the respiratory substrate which are going to break down into the smaller molecule. So only glucose is not the only one which is getting oxidized. There are the other substrate also, proteins, fats. So today we will talk about the common or interrelationship between the proteins, fats and carbohydrates, as well as we will talk about the that which kind of pathway the respiration is, as well as the respiratory quotient. So let's see first about the common pathway for proteins, fats and carbohydrates. Till now we have studied about the glucose in detail, right, because this is the simple sugar. So here I'm not going to draw a complete pathway of your glycolysis. We will just talk about the main steps. That is the glucose converted into glucose 6 phosphate, then fructose 6 phosphate and fructose 1,6 biphosphate. And this fructose 1,6 biphosphate, it will dissociate, or it will change into two forms, that is dihydroxyacetone phosphate as well as glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, right? And from glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate it will enter the cycle and pyruvic acid is formed. I have not write down the intermediate steps because our concentration is to check the relationship between the fats, proteins and carbohydrates. So from pyruvic acid it will first change into acetyl coenzyme A, then enter into the Krebs cycle. That is what we know till this date now. Now, if we say now that our respiratory substrate is protein, right? If our respiratory substrate is protein, that protein has to broken down. So protein first they will break down into the amino acids. They first break down into amino acids. Now these amino acid, as you know that amino acid has both amino group as well as the carboxyl group also. So these amino acid, they undergo deamination. Deamination means their amino group is removed, and the moment their amino group is removed, now these amino acid, they will change into the pyruvic acid, and from pyruvic acid they enter into the cycle, then they change into acetyl coenzyme A, then Krebs cycle. So they join the cycle in the pyruvic acid stage. They join the cycle of respiration. Once they go under deamination, then they change into pyruvic acid. So till this time, see how many ATPs they are released. If we say that proteins, when they change into amino acid, and these amino acid they now change into the pyruvic acid. Proteins they dissociate into amino acid, then after deamination they enter into the pathway from the pyruvic acid stage once the pyruvic acid is formed after glycolysis. Now pyruvic acid is now changing into the acetyl coenzyme A. So here only one NADH2 is involved. When one NADH2 is formed, when pyruvic acid change into acetyl coenzyme A, so how many ATP can be produced? That is 3 ATP. Now once acetyl coenzyme A, it enter into Krebs cycle, and Krebs cycle, one pyruvic acid, it give us to 12 ATP. So total net production of ATP is the 15 ATP. So that depends on the amino acid. They can give you one amino acid to calculate the amount of ATP. They can give you that if 2 amino acids they are getting deaminated, 3 amino acid, 10 amino acids. So you have to calculate. Suppose if 10 amino acids are given to you, so one amino acid if is giving 15 ATP, then you can calculate for 10 amino acid also, right? So in this way the questions can be solved. If your respiratory substrate is fats, right? If the respiratory substrate is fat in the process. Then now fats, they broken down into the fatty acids and glycerol, because that is their smaller units. So they break down into fatty acids and glycerol. Now see, glycerol, it enters into, it first changes into the dihydroxy acetone phosphate, and from dihydroxy acetone phosphate, you know that it has to change into first glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, and then it enter into the other Krebs cycle and form the pyruvic acid. So glycerol enter into the pathway at which stage? That is the dihydroxy acetone phosphate when it formed in the glycolysis. So that these small steps you need to understand here, that why this we are talking about the respiratory substrate, that glycerol, if all the in your diet, even if we talk about our diet or even in the plants, all things, they are not carbohydrates, right? There are fats also, there are proteins also. So if glycerol is there, then it enter into the respiratory pathway at which stage? That is at the dihydroxy acetone phosphate stage. Now what about the fatty acid? Fatty acids, they through beta oxidation, they enter into the pathway at acetyl coenzyme stage. When pyruvic acid is already formed the acetyl coenzyme A, then the fatty acid they combine to the at the acetyl coenzyme stage and then enter into the Krebs cycle. So if we say what is the now beta oxidation, if you need to understand that, because fatty acid is entering into the pathway at the through the beta oxidation. So the question definitely comes in mind that what is beta oxidation? Beta oxidation, it is a catabolic process. Catabolic process मीन्स जहाँ पे ब्रेक डाउन होती है. यहाँ पे किसकी ब्रेक डाउन हो रही है? योर फैटी एसिड मॉलिक्यूल्स. सो दीज फैटी एसिड मॉलिक्यूल्स, they are broken down into the cytoplasm in prokaryotes, but in the case of eukaryotes, they are broken down into the mitochondria, and once they broken down, then through beta oxidation they form the acetyl coenzyme A, and this acetyl coenzyme A that enter into the Krebs cycle. So what is beta oxidation? It is the breakdown of your fatty acid molecules, and once these beta fatty acid that get oxidized through this process beta oxidation, they will form acetyl coenzyme A, and this will enter into the Krebs cycle. So now you can make out that when the acetyl coenzyme enter into the Krebs cycle, then how many ATP will be there? There will be 12 ATP, and here from the you have to count the ATP at the from the dihydroxy acetone phosphate stage, that it will enter into it will change into glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate, then pyruvic acid is formed. Pyruvic acid will change into acetyl coenzyme A, and then the Krebs cycle. So this is the interrelationship. If your respiratory substrate is fat, if your respiratory substrate is carbohydrate, if your respiratory substrate is proteins, how they are going to enter or show the respiratory pathway. Now if I ask you that respiratory pathway, is it a catabolic process or it is a anabolic process? Mostly students which do a mistake, because actually I will not call it a mistake, because maximum of us know only that glucose is getting broken down, and we know that when something is broken down, then that process will be catabolic. So they always mark the answer catabolic, which is not correct. See, process, if we just totally recall this respiration process, then few intermediates are also we are forming here. Like if I give you one example of that, we are forming the acetyl coenzyme A. It is an intermediate which is a connecting link between your glycolysis and Krebs cycle, right? We are forming it. So formation is called your which process? Anabolic process. So this respiratory process, it involves breakdown of substrate also. Glucose is breaking down, proteins are breaking down, fat is breaking down. So that is why it is known as catabolic pathway. But few compounds, they are synthesized also as an intermediate, so this is also anabolic pathway also. So a pathway which is both catabolic as well as anabolic, that is always known as amphibolic pathway. So please, whenever you are attempting these kind of questions, that understand the concept, that why it is not catabolic, why it is not only anabolic, it is both. It is both catabolic as well as anabolic. The last for today is the respiratory quotient. What is respiration? That is, carbon dioxide is released and oxygen is consumed. So respiratory quotient is ratio of volume of CO2 is evolved means received, released, to the volume of oxygen consumed during the respiration. So what is RQ? It is the ratio of your volume of CO2 evolved to the volume of O2 you have consumed during the respiratory process. So it depends, किसके ऊपर डिपेंड करेगा कि कितनी कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड आपने रिलीज की है और कितनी ऑक्सीजन यूज की है. दिस डिपेंड्स ऑन द टाइप ऑफ रेस्पिरेटरी सबस्ट्रेट which you are using during respiration. If it is a glucose, or is it a protein, or is it a fat, or is it an organic acid, that will decide your respiratory quotient. So if we take an example of glucose, in glucose, this is the balanced equation, that is, there is a 6 oxygen we are using, consumed, and 6 CO2 they are released, and this is for energy. So respiratory quotient is what it does, it say that the volume of CO2 you have evolved, released, to the volume of oxygen. So 6 CO2 divided by 6 O2, the answer will come out to be 1. So respiratory quotient for carbohydrates will always be 1. You need to understand that maximum, that in if your substrate is carbohydrate, then the respiratory quotient will be 1. Let's take the example for fats. There is a C15H98O6 O6. This is the tripalmitin, or palmitic acid is a little bit, it's a second form. It is tripalmitin, and it is evolving, it is using not evolving, we are using, consuming 145 oxygen as well as 102 CO2 molecules, they are released. So now respiratory quotient is your ratio of CO2 upon the oxygen. So 102 divided by 145, the answer is 0.7, and if you can see, this is less than 1. So always remember that if in any kind of fat, if in your MCQs any kind of fat or any kind of protein they have mentioned, then you have to choose your answer on the basis of concept that the RQ for fats and proteins, that will be always less than 1. Either you are you know that protein or you know that fat, it is fine. If even you don't know about that protein or fat, but still if it is mentioned in your MCQ that this is a fat, the answer will be always, you have to mark less than 1 in case of if your respiratory substrate is protein and fats. Even if we talk about the acids, organic acid like oxalic acid, malic acid, suppose here is the balanced equation, that is for oxalic acid, oxygen molecule, 4 CO2 they are released out. So respiratory quotient will be 4 CO2 divided by 1 oxygen. So the answer will always be 4, right? So the answer will be come out to be 4. So it is more than 1, right? It is more than 1. Even let's take another example, that is about the malic acid. Again here also, that is your 4 three oxygen we have evolved here. Three oxygen they are released here. So 4 by 3, the answer will be 1.3. It is also more than your 1. So if the respiratory quotient is equal to 1, that is means your respiratory substrate will be carbohydrate. If your respiratory quotient is less than 1, that will be for proteins and fats. More than 1, it will be for organic acids. In anaerobic respiration, if we now see, we are not using any oxygen here, so there is only CO2 which is released. So the respiratory quotient will be infinity. But one question that I have in my mind, that in your balanced diet you are not eating only proteins, you are not taking your only fats, you are not using only carbohydrates. It is a mixture of your proteins, fats and carbohydrates. So for balanced diet, the respiratory quotient is usually 0.85, right? So only not in normal, in actual form, if we talk about all the respiratory substrate, they are broken down. So in balanced diet, the respiratory quotient is 0.85. So this is all about our respiratory chapter, and here we are finished thoroughly about the respiration in plants. Let's see now what we are going to start with another interesting chapter.